Hey, I'm Zach, and in today's video we're going to be seeding some food plots for pigs. We raise Idaho pasture pigs on our farm, and they have a lot of uses, but let me show you our pigs first. We have these two, Delilah and Samson. We have these guys, Penelope and Bert, and we have these little guys, Marigold and Bacon. We use our Idaho pasture pigs for a lot of reasons. These guys out here are cleaning up our forests. Bert and Penelope here have a different job than the ones in the forest, and that is to turn this sawdust, hay, and cow pies into compost. And this little guy we're raising for meat. In the spring, summer, or early fall, their primary diet is this, or this, with a little bit of this on the side. I love running our pigs in the forest and on pasture, but in the fall and the winter time when all this greenery goes away, to avoid a high feed bill, we're growing them food in the ground. And of course, whenever possible, we want to avoid feeding corn and soy and grains and feed them as much forage as possible, because Idaho pasture pigs are a grazing pig. Now, that doesn't mean that they can eat 100% grass or 100%, greenery. They have to have a diet of grain in there as well, which is why even in the spring, summer, and early fall, we still supplement with some grain, but they need a lot less grain than most pig breeds. This right here is our winter fields and our food plots for the pigs, and this is where Penelope and Bert were for a few months. And today we need to till this up. We need to put in some turnips and some ryegrass and make a food plot for them for this winter. And we may actually graze this once before the winter time comes and then plant again for winter. There's a lot of work that goes into filming these videos. It looks nice when it's edited, but there's a lot of walking. So this is the first field of ryegrass I planted, and it's pretty tall. I would say some of these blades are about a foot tall, so it's coming in very nicely. And where there isn't ryegrass, there's chickweed and buttercup and all sorts of other things that these pigs will eat right up. So this was the first field I planted. This was the second field I planted, and you can see there's still some bare spots, so I may come in here with some more ryegrass today and fill in these spots, but it's coming in pretty nicely. In some spots, I mean, geez, this is probably 18 inches of ryegrass right here. And you can see there's a nice divide line right here. And this is where Bert and Penelope were for about a month or so, and that's where they were for the month before. We've got their pig shelter over in here, but today we're gonna be making some food plots for them. In this field, I'm gonna be planting some turnips and some ryegrass, a mixture of both. Those turnips come up really quickly, so they should beat out that ryegrass a little earlier. And I'm gonna do the turnips pretty light, nothing too thick. You might be wondering why I'm gonna till this up if the pigs have been here for a month and they've been tilling it up like crazy, but over in these areas, you can see we've got a lot of pig poop. And instead of that just sitting on top, I would much rather get that in the dirt and get it worked in there and fertilize the soil, and then I'll plant everything on top. This is the pig shelter I built for these guys, and I just tossed it together. It's very simple. It's just a wood frame on the bottom using 2x6, some corner bracing in there as well, and then 2 cattle panels going over the top with a cheap tarp on top. We have a good amount of mobile structures on this farm. This one's for the pigs. We have these two for the meat chickens, and we have this one for the egg layers. tilled everything up real nice. Now we got to get our seeder, broadcast some turnips and some ryegrass. We have two different kinds of seeds we're going to spread for these pigs. And I'm going to be using my Chaplin spreader. I like this thing. It's not bad. It's pretty cheap, but it gets the job done. So we're going to be spreading ryegrass and forage turnips. This is our annual rye, and this is our forage turnips that we got from Johnny Seed. I'm going to broadcast this turnip seed first, and that's going to go on pretty light. As you can see, those seeds are really, really small. I haven't spread turnips yet. I'm going to have to mess with my settings on my Chaplin spreader here, but we're going to go ahead and do turnips first, and then we'll do ryegrass after. This is a pretty small plot, so we shouldn't need much. Well, we got our turnip spread. Let's go ahead and spread some ryegrass. It's nice having a big bag spreader like this because I can fill a bunch of ryegrass in there and do a bunch at one time. Well, there you have it. In no time, this will be luscious ryegrass and really nice turnips, good forage for the pigs to eat. You might be wondering why we're doing this, why we're making food plots for pigs. Well, the first year we were here in Kentucky, we had a bit of a drought towards the end of the season, and August hit and there was really nothing growing. There was no green grass growing anymore, and there really wasn't anything for them to eat. So we were feeding a lot of grains, and so this year, to combat any droughts or any time that they're not in the forests or in the pastures, we can put them on this and they can have some nice good forage to eat and good proteins that they can find in the ground. Anything we can do to reduce our feed bill is a huge plus for us. That's the reason why we planted all our food plots today and why we pasture them in the forests. Obviously, pigs can't live without grain, because we've bred them over time to be reliant on it. And so thankfully we have pigs that they get the majority of their forage from the greens, but we still have to feed them a little bit. These guys each get about 1.5 pounds of grain, which is our cracked corn, soybean meal, and minerals. Because we only have 2 ingredients in our grain, it's gonna make it really easy for us to also grow our own non-GMO grains. So this year, on top of just doing food plots and pasturing them in the forests, we are going to be growing our own non-GMO corn and non-GMO soybean. I'm also going to try growing some red pea, see how that goes, because I'd rather get away from soybean as much as I can. I do realize that there's a ton of protein that comes from soybean meal. It's in pretty much all feed nowadays because of its high protein content. As you can tell, we love our pigs here, and we are all about good quality pork and the highest level of quality of care for our pigs. That is really important to us. Honestly, I don't see us putting pigs in cages. I mean, this is obviously where they belong. They love laying out here. They love eating all the greens, and it's just where they should be in nature. So on top of all that, giving them the highest level of care and the highest level of protein and food is really important, because who doesn't love high quality bacon? Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video about food plots for pigs. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.